Welcome to Yoga from the Heart, a place where I bring people who are living a very, very exceptional life, living from their heart, living from their soul, doing something very extraordinary, but they are really, really beautiful, ordinary beings. And today I have somebody I met on Facebook, and we have known each other, I would say almost a year, but I have just watched him. I have been a silent observer in his closed group. I have today Gino. Welcome, Gino.
Hello, Sangeeta. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Gino is, he runs a program, a support system called Master Fast System,
Hmm.
and he lives in Ontario, Canada. And I have seen so many people who follow his system and have really benefited health wise. I'm not there yet. I keep thinking, okay, maybe this month, but I want to know. I want to know about your journey. I know a little bit, but I would like my clients to know, my friends to know.
Sure, Sangeeta. Well, my journey started a long time ago, in the summer of 1990, June-ish. So it's about, what, 31 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I grew up, Italian parents from Italy, and born here in the Toronto area. And we grew up typically, Italian food. We eat anything and everything, which is Italian food is based on, fruits and vegetables, but everything else as well. Lots of
Yes.
animal products, etc.
Yes.
And as time was going on, I started feeling certain things in my body and didn't really understand it at the time. But then was about 26 years old, I think it was. I got handed a book called Mucusless Diet Healing System by Arnold Ehret.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that book. I think I read it in one night because the information just resonated with me.
Uh-huh.
It's basically a lifestyle of fasting.
Uh-huh.
And I started embracing the concept, and I understood that, fasting is a lifestyle,
Uh-huh.
which we don't um, see people comprehend that concept.
Yes.
They use fasting as an event, like going
Yes.
to a circus and then you're done. But I understood fasting was a lifestyle, and it's embraced it and have continued for all these years to implement fasting in my life. So his book is based on eating a very clean diet, minimal diet of mainly fruit and vegetables. And from what we understand now is fruit is the easiest for the body to process, the human body. It's least obstructive, the word terminology we use.
Yes.
So I started embracing that, and then I just started to start fasting, and I jumped in and I did a 40-day fast back then on some Concord grape juice.
40
And that
days
was
fast, just grape juice.
just grape juice back then. I didn't know anything about anything, and
Mm-hmm.
that was recommended to me. And um, because I came across another book called The Bowel Cleansing by Bernard Jensen, about cleansing the bowels. And there's photographs in that book. I think many people are familiar with it. And there's black plaque and many different colors of stuff. And a fellow that showed me the book said, you can't get, you got to get this stuff out of you, and you need to do a 40-day fast. So I decided, okay, I'll do this 40-day fast, because I didn't believe this stuff could be in me. So I had to prove them wrong, right?
Yes.
That's the way I was.
Did you have any condition? Did you have any like thing?
I started getting a lot of backaches, and I didn't know what it was at that time, muscles and stuff. But now we understand it's kidneys.
Kidneys. Okay. So lower back pain, you think it's
Yeah,
kidney?
yeah. Oh, everything goes back to kidneys, not just lower back pain, but the kidneys are miraculous organs, vital organs, and if they're not functioning, if you have problems in your knees or any joints or anywhere else, so you go back to your kidneys,
Mm.
function of them. And the reason they don't function well is because they start getting obstructed through diets, mental and emotional obstructions, and we go into all that. But I jumped into this 40-day fast without knowing anything about anything. Back then, there was no internet and none of this wonderful stuff that we can access
Yeah.
all this information.
Yes.
It's good and bad because you can find anything and everything on both sides of the story, no matter what you search for. You can find fasting is
Yes.
miraculous and fasting is dangerous. Whatever
Yes.
you choose.
So we
But
need to be
when
more,
you,
it's more than ever important that we have the discernment.
yeah,
Pick
yeah,
what information we need to pick, right? Because both of them is available.
exactly. Yeah, if you, um, use a little bit of logic and then you start going through the experiences, you will be profound at the answers you start getting, especially when you start fasting. Then you'll
Yes.
start to come to a new, what we call the new understanding. So
Yes.
I did this 40-day fast, and I didn't coming out of it and so on and so forth. Um, I didn't really understand the implications of it, and using Concord grape juice, pasteurized back then, what we understand what it is now, but I had no clue what it was back then. It's a very, very powerful cleanser, stripper on the physical, mental, and emotional levels.
Wow.
And what had happened to me is I ended up in bed for 2 years after that 40-day fast, with chronic kidney, bladder, and sciatic nerve issues, and trying to find answers from acupuncturists, chiropractors wouldn't even look at me because it was such a severe case, et cetera, et cetera. I was going all over the place, and herbs and this and that. And I knew that I wasn't going the medical route, that's for sure. So in that time, I went to a Japanese acupuncturist downtown, and I couldn't sit down like this because of the sciatic nerve was so treacherous to pain. So I had a motorcycle at the time, big 1,000 Kawasaki Ninja,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to get on the bike. So I ended up going to my appointment on a motorcycle. Somebody who could barely walk.
Uh-huh.
So I get there, get into the office, and the acupuncturist's face go, "You came with a motorcycle?" I had my helmet. I go, "Yeah, I can't drive a car." So here I am. So I go through the session, everything, in a beautiful, relaxed state. And then I go outside to get on my motorcycle, and I grab the handlebars to lift it off the kickstand. As soon as I just took the motorcycle weight off the kickstand, I just collapsed
Oh my God.
in agonizing pain. I was screaming in the middle of the road there in the parking lot, and they ended up coming outside and helping me, and they're trying to convince me to go to the hospital. And I was in so much pain, I wasn't thinking straight. So they kind of talked me into going to the hospital just to get rid of the pain. So I went to the hospital. In the hospital, I think it was St. Michael's downtown or whatever. And they're all talking and this and that about how horrible, and then I would need to get operated, I won't be walking. I'm listening to all this stuff, and
Uh-huh.
as I'm calming down with the pain a little bit, and I come to my senses, and they say, no, they were going to give me some needle, some strong drug, and I said, no, 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 I don't want any of this. I'm going to go home. And they all thought I was crazy. And they said, "What do you mean? You're not going to walk again?" And I go, "No, don't worry. I'm going to go home. Even if I'm not going to walk out of here, I'm going home." So I ended up calling my wife at the time, come pick me up and everything. I ended up going home, and I decided I was not going to return to those places. So I was on a relentless quest to find out what the hell's wrong and how do I solve this. It took me a long time. It wasn't overnight. With the information that we have now,
Yes.
I would have avoided a lot of pain and suffering. But that pain and suffering brought me a lot of wisdom, I guess you can call it,
Yes.
so I can help other people, guide
Yes.
them to some degree,
It does. Yes.
and smoothing out things. Pain is unavoidable, but suffering is a choice. So
Yes.
um, we do the best we can in the situations we're in now. We have a lot of tools, and we have a new understanding. So what happened back then, which I didn't understand, was basically the detoxification of the body at that time was so strong, and the body was such in an obstructive state, physically, mentally, emotionally, it could not release the things that were loosened up by the fast. And then my kidneys started shutting down and so on and so forth. My bladder was on fire. And it was just an amazing, horrific experience. So that's what had happened with the understanding we have now. So that's why the structure of the master fast system is very specific, and we have a lot of tools, and every single part of the system is crucial for safety and effectiveness. And one too many people who didn't abide by the basic structure got themselves in trouble and then come screaming for help. So, you know, we only guide people who want to follow protocol. If they don't want to follow a protocol, you can do whatever you like.
Yes.
We understand. We don't have all the answers, but what we do understand, it works, and it's very safe and it's very effective when you follow the protocol. So why are we going to go away from that? Especially in the last 5 years of being in social media
Uh-huh.
with the Master Fast system, we've had tens and thousands of people doing the Master Fast, and we've learned so much through interactions with everyone,
Right.
and people sharing their experiences and so on and so forth. And every time somebody's, going through a Master Fast, and they're having challenges, I can relate to pretty much 95 to 99% of everybody's experience, because I've been through so much in all
Yes.
these years.
Yes.
And it sounds weird and impossible, but I've been through quite a bit in the road to searching for a quest to find a way to get healthy, because that was ultimately my mission, and it
Yes.
continues to be, to always find a way to be able to better ourselves. And because my belief is there absolutely is no limit. We have the limitless realms,
Yes.
and you just choose where you want to go
Yes.
and go for it.
Yes.
If anybody's going to tell you that you can't do this and you can't do that, just walk the other way. That's
Yes.
their belief system, right?
Bye-bye.
That's
Yes.
their belief system. We don't want to take part of that.
If anybody tells you any other way to do things, follow your own heart. Right. I am
Beautiful.
100%.
In the realm of MFS, we say everything is possible.
Yes.
Everything is possible.
Absolutely.
And we've seen tremendous metamorphosis, transformations for many, many, many people. It's just beautiful watching these transformations.
Yes.
But the whole challenge that we all have, especially in today's society, especially in what we're going through right now with this so-called pandemic, there's a lot of emotional things that we have that are not allowing us to find balance. And a lot of it is ancestral, a lot of it is present, and a lot of it we create ourselves. So I like to say is we could continue to bring in balance to our ancestors, or choose to bring balance to our ancestors. Just the choice is always yours. How do you want to live? Because by correcting ourselves, by living in what I like to say is peace, balance, correct conduct as best we possibly can, because we're not programmed for that.
Yes.
Not in this plane. By choosing that path and consciously thinking about that, and every time we find ourselves going off, we correct ourselves because we're consciously wanting to live that way. That will help bring our imbalances from our ancestors back to balance. Because we're all one. We're not separated from the ancestral lineage. We can't be separate. We are part of it. If we look at our ancestors and we look at photographs of them, you will see on your grandparents' side and great grandparent, you'll see yourself in all of them.
Yes.
Right. Yes. You'll see aspects. And if you were able to talk to people who knew them and so on and so forth, there will be physical, mental, emotional attributes of the same coming through from all that. And so we work with that, and we try and continuously move in that direction of balance, no matter what's happening out there. Yeah, we're going to go through challenges and we're going to go off course, and that's part of the journey. But we continue to stay focused.
Yes.
So
tell my audience, what do you mean when you say fasting is your lifestyle? So when do you eat?
Okay, so I'll give you an example, Sangeeta. For example, every day we choose to have a window, a fasting window, every single day, every week, every month, and every season change. And depending on your fasting experience, you start on for example, every day you start on 12 hours. And the 12-hour period means you don't drink anything and you don't eat anything. And that includes your sleep. So most people sleep, what, 6 to 8 hours? So that you extend that a little bit and you don't drink or eat anything in that window. So every day you're doing that. Then
When
at
you
the end of
drink,
every,
it includes water.
no, we don't actually drink water either.
Okay, so
Our
no,
program
no
does not
water.
involve drinking any water.
Yes,
Water dehydrates you. That's another.
I will come to that later. Yes.
So yeah, so we have a dry fasting window. We call it dry fasting because you're not
Mhm.
drinking liquids or anything. So we
Yes.
do that, and then we do that once a week, 24 hours. We do it at the end of the month. Usually, a good time is during the full moon cycle. It's very powerful, the
Yes.
energies. So we pick 3 days at the end, once a month, and then every season change, you go as long as you can if you have experience. But we, for newbies, we try to get between 3 and 5 days of a dry fast. Now we have a way to enter a dry fast prudently when it's 24 hours or longer, and how we exit a dry fast. And we work on clearing the bowels a lot on Master Fast Lifestyle because the GI tract, which we reference as the plasma vacuum tube, is actually just that. It's a vacuum
It
tube.
is just that.
And when there's obstructions in that, we will have imbalances in the physical, mental, and emotional body. And if there's an obstruction in the physical, there's also in the mental and emotional is attached to that physical obstruction. So as we're releasing it physically, what we found through many tens of thousands of experiences is it starts releasing the mental and emotional blockages. And if you're ready, you can release them. If you're not, you go back to your old lifestyle. And that's what happens with a lot of us.
Yes.
And maybe come back at a later date. So the one thing that I stuck with in all these years was the season change fast.
Yes.
Well, how I came up with that, I don't know. I just happened that.
You know, actually, in Indian culture, in old ancient culture, fasting was, as you were saying, this is how it was. It was a way of life, and I myself do. There are two fasts that come at the season change when we go from winter to spring, and then there's one, and it's for 9 days, and then there is one which comes from in the fall season, from summer to like around October, September, October. And
Right.
it's very interesting because back then, I think it started as a natural process, what you were doing. But then over the years, people attached it to the religious aspect of it. So we kind of call it a religious fast. But I personally, in India, the way they do it is they just eliminate certain foods, but eat certain foods. So they eat more like roots and vegetables and avoid
Right.
grains and stuff like that. But after getting inspired from you, I actually did last October, I did 9 days of nothing, no thing. I mean, and water also very minimum. I didn't drink too much water also. The only one time it was very hot and I had to go and pick my son from school, and I came back and I kind of felt a little lightheaded. So I had 1 glass of coconut water, and that's about it. But other than that, and I cannot tell you, on the ninth day, I did not want to look at food. I really didn't want to look at food.
Yeah.
But to continue that is so difficult. I think it's like this conditioning that we have, that what am I going to do if I don't eat? It's like, that kind of a thing. So tell us
Well,
something about that. How do you sustain that? Where does that come from?
we go back a little bit, like to just start fasting without any fasting experience is not really wise, especially somebody eating a very obstructive diet, like a typical North American diet or whatever. Because what happens during a fast, the body goes into what we call elimination mode.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is the body starts releasing obstructions, physical obstructions that the body cannot do in the time when you're eating. It just does not happen. You're only going to get so far with any type of diet. And for example, if you're eating a North American diet and you move to a vegetarian diet, your body will detox to that level of obstructiveness of the diet. And then if you move on to a more of a cleaner vegan diet, then it'll de-obstruct to that. And then if you move into a cleaner, like a fruitarian type diet, it'll de-obstruct to that. And it won't go any further. And because your body will not be able to release until you actually start fasting. And fasting is where you unlock the depths of the imbalances so the body can return back to blueprint, terminology we like to use, where the soul goes into an autopilot mode when you're in a fasting state, and that information starts correcting itself. You don't have to think about it, you don't have to understand it, you don't have to know how it works, it just works. It's perfect, just like you plant the seed and it grows. We don't understand it fully, but it happens, right? So there's no difference in that intelligence that we have through our soul. It comes through our soul from source, and that's the magic that happens during a fasting state. So to see the thing you said about, you don't want to look at food after 9 days. Hunger comes from eating, thirst comes from drinking. So if you don't eat and don't drink, you're not going to get hungry and you're not going to get thirsty to some degree. But it all depends on how much obstructions you have in that plasma vacuum tube. The more obstructions, the more cravings you will have. But as you continue to fast and clean that out, the cravings become less and less and less until you hit an emotional thing that comes to the surface and things start going cuckoo. But if you ask yourself, when you're, for example, in a fast and you kind of get a craving, you ask yourself, am I hungry? And I can assure you most of the time it will be no, the answer. It's just an emotional trigger that came up, and they're false. So
food also, like, food has become more of an entertainment.
Exactly.
Right.
social thing, gatherings. It's beautiful because, every time, we get together with people, we drink, we eat, and that's it's been. But we don't do it because we're hungry. Oh, it's lunchtime, I gotta go eat, right? Or whatever. It's by clock, by social gatherings, events, whatever. If I understood what I knew now to, bringing up children, I would just have food lying around and not say anything. When they're hungry, they would eat. I would not give them a time or anything.
I do that. Yes,
awesome.
Actually, my daughter most of the time eats either once a day or just twice a day. And I don't even question her. I'm like, okay, if you're not hungry, you're not hungry. Don't eat. That's fine.
Beautiful. When I grew up, my parents coming from war times, when they put food on the table, they said, you cannot leave the table until everything is finished on your plate because there are poor people in the world. And that was the mentality. And it was right so because that's what they experienced, right? So I have that programmed in me and it's ingrained. So me, the way I am, I just would clean up everything. Everybody else is left over.
There's too many hungry people, so let me eat it all.
But anyway, it's our belief systems are in the way. That's all it is. It's our belief systems. You're gonna die if you don't, without water for 3 days, or you're gonna die without food for whatever amount of days.
Yes.
We've shattered all those myths.
Yes.
By far, we've shattered them. And the only thing that's gonna stand in our way is our belief system, and the obstructions in our body.
Yes.
Somebody just not fasted cannot just stop eating and think they're going to live. I can assure you they're going to die.
Right.
Because the belief system, the faith is not there, and the physical body has not been cleansed enough to be able for the body to sustain itself. Meaning that because when you fast, you get into an elimination mode. The body, the terminology we use, it starts drowning in its own filth. It can't get rid of it fast enough. So it actually starts drowning, and this is where people get themselves in real trouble. And it's not a fun place to be.
So what do you recommend for that detox? What do you recommend for that elimination?
Well, we're doing massive fast system, which involves drinking pasteurized grape juice with lemon. We have many herbal support tinctures, and we have a tea. We call it TNT, tinctures and tea. That we do that twice a day. And the herbs are miraculous, amazing, elevated souls, which are here to help us with their knowledge and what they do is we don't use herbs to treat certain parts of the body. We use the herbs to help us keep channels of energy flowing within the
Flowing.
physical, mental, and emotional body. First and
Yes.
foremost, emotional. Because
Yes.
fasting is a spiritual journey, first and foremost. We were talking about religion, and that's why all religions have fasting in
Yes.
them in some degree.
Yes.
So that's the fasting lifestyle is a spiritual lifestyle that we've chosen, right? So that's the way we use herbs, and it keeps the energy flowing. Like, for example, if you have a pain in your shoulder or your neck, what does that mean? It means there's an obstruction in the physical, mental, and emotional bodies.
Yes.
And once we can release and have that energy start flowing, the pain's gone.
Pain's gone. Yes.
So that's all it is. And everything is energy.
Yes.
You look at from the atom to everything else throughout the universe, it's all based on the same principles of those orbits. And the atom does not get fed, does not produce waste, but it continues to have an orbit within itself.
Yes.
Where does that energy come from? There's an exchange of energy continuously happening with all the universal energies. So it's a give and take. The more you give, the more you can receive. So it's always based on the principles of creation. The Creator gives so it can receive and continue it within itself.
Yes.
And that's the way we operate. So the more we give, the more we can receive, and the more balance is the outcome. The stronger fields, the field strength we call it, when we raise our field strength, we have so much of this wonderful balancing energy that we can give to all the weaker fields. And by giving to the weaker fields, we help elevate those fields so we can receive, and we continue with that. Everything's energy.
Everything is energy.
Using pasteurized juice, there's no life in here. If you ask most people, it's cooked, it's dead, it's lifeless. But what we're doing is we're taking it to a higher order. We're not working on the principles of materialism and physicality. We're working with the principles of higher order in a plasma state. And it was very, very challenging to get this information across to people when I started sharing it 5 years ago on social media. I got blasted left, right, and center until people were experiencing it. But my first experience was 31 years ago, and that understanding didn't come till, just about 6-7 years ago. The understanding of why was that juice so powerful? Because I went on a journey of raw as law for almost a decade, and cooked juice. I did that, way back. Raw as law. That was. But then I came to a new understanding through plasma science, and everything opened up to me of what happened in my 2 years being bedridden, et cetera, and why this thing.
It all made sense.
Yeah, it all came together, and that's how Master Fast was born after all these years.
Yes.
So we use juice, we use tinctures and tea, and we use what we call plasma pudding, which is a mixture of psyllium, clay, and activated charcoal in a certain ratio, and we do that once a day. And then also is what's crucial and essential part of Master Fast is washing the bowels.
Yes.
Every single day except the dry days.
Okay.
Washing the bowels. And what that does is it keeps energy flowing. Like we wash our outside of our bodies. So we're washing this is used to wash from the top, and then we use enemas, colonics, from the bottom to wash. And in the beginning, we were suggesting for people to do 108 days or, whatever amount they want. But I always had this as a lifestyle. You cannot just do 108 days and then just walk away. You need to continue with a fasting regime. And we had it laid out in different ways before, but most people would do 108 days and then they'd go start eating and they start going cuckoo because they didn't do enough of their homework and research to understand it's a lifestyle, and you got to continue to clean eat, and you got to continue to have fasting as part of your lifestyle in a way that you can maintain it. So now we've structured it with 7 levels, and we have Master Fast level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what that means is if you're on level 1 for somebody who's starting off, you start off with 1 day a week of master fasting. So you're doing your juice, this, that, and everything else in your 1 day, and then the other 6 days you're eating in a small window, preferably in about 3 hours, not too much more than that. And the rest of the day you can do what we call hybrid. So you can continue doing the juice and then clean eating, like a one fruit meal and maybe a salad, and keep it very light and clean. So then you can do level 2. That would be 2 days of master fasting, or level 3, 4. So most people can start on approximately like level 2 without too many issues. Very, very few people would have to start on level 1. So you start on level 2 and you continue with that. And then you throw in a level 3 or 4 every once in a while. And then you go back and you maintain your level 2. And we would suggest people do that for at least 6 months to a year before they decide to expand on that. And, you know, after about a year or so, if you want to, if you feel comfortable and you've been doing it consistently, if you want to do a few weeks on a level 7, you can do that. But you need to have that understanding and clarity, and be very focused that when you come off, you need to return maybe on a higher level, not going back to more food, because every time somebody goes back to the food thing, they get themselves in trouble. It's because all the emotional stuff and so on and so forth happens. So there's a lot of aspects of living this lifestyle, and that's what living the lifestyle is. Continuously living a fasting lifestyle, meaning whatever it is for you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Some people will actually do, and not eat anything.
Do you eat cooked food though? In your
I eat some cooked food,
little bit.
Yeah,
but it's all plant based.
Yeah. 99% plant-based. I'll have like a fish once in a while. It gets more and more rare. Like the amount of foods I eat now compared to many years ago is
less.
Very small amounts compared to what I used to eat. I used to eat a lot of food.
Yes.
And you know, the bigger the eaters, the more food somebody eats, you will see more problems with them in their health-wise.
Yes, very true. You know, it's interesting because yesterday I saw this article about, you know, and I've been hearing about it, the concept of like we are only 0.00001% matter and 99.99999% is space. And yet, as a society, we are so focused on the material world, on the physical body, on the food, on the consumerism, and nobody's talking about this 99.99999%. So I think what your lifestyle is and what you are really advocating is you're focused on that 99.999%. And there is universe, this cosmic energy that provides you with everything that you need.
There's nothing missing in the universe. Is abundance, limitless.
Yes.
And we are programmed. We are born in that, but we are programmed to fail. We are programmed to pull us away from that understanding.
Yes.
So like the atom, as you're saying, it's empty space, and it's just energy, plasmatic energy. There's a gravitational magnetic field strength that is continuously flowing in a kind of a vortex matter. And in a figure 8 with all the other different energies in and around itself. And this is the way the universe functions.
Yes.
So that's what we focus on. Whether people believe it or not that we're absorbing these energies, it doesn't matter because they're doing it, even though they don't believe it.
Yes.
Do
you feel the energies?
Of course you do, especially when you fast. The longer you fast, the more you can feel these energies.
Yes.
Like, we're not eating 24 hours a day. We're not. And, people think that you get energy from food, but where does the energy come from to digest the food? Ask yourself that question.
Yes.
You need so much energy for digestion.
Yes.
And you'll understand this the more you fast.
Yes.
And why you start feeling better and better when you don't eat.
Yes.
Once you remove the obstructions, you start feeling better and better. When you're full of obstructions, it's not going to be pleasant. But it just takes time to get to the level where you start feeling better and better, and you embrace that and move on. Yes. But these energies are everywhere. We're doing it part-time, whether we believe it or not. Most people, they're not eating when they're sleeping. I've heard of cases where people have to get up in the middle of the night to eat. And that just shows that they're in such an obstructive state that the body cannot even sustain a small amount of fasting, which is their sleep time. So they have to eat. Eating stops your fast. It stops the elimination process.
Yes.
So they're continuously stopping their elimination process, and they just will cycle them more and more into obstructive, imbalanced state by doing that, because the digestive system needs a rest.
Yes. Yes. And the other thing I understood through my own experimentation, I also do like kind of intermittent fasting most of the
Right,
days.
right.
So my day doesn't start to eat anything before 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
What I realized is, there is a direct connection between your gut brain and your brain. And the less, as you say, when the digestive system is at rest, you have more clarity, you have more peace. You are not in the thought process, right? And you just feel that contentment, that peace, that food kind of comes in and disrupts you with all the energies of that clarity and peace.
Like, if you look at everybody who passes away, they eat, don't they? And they still pass away. So
Yes.
food is not going to stop you from dying.
Yes.
And when you see people going through health challenges, it's usually after meals of something, usually within a short period of a time of a meal. So it's just because the body is overloaded, and then they're putting more stuff in that has to do more work, and something happens. But these are things that may have been going on for decades
Yes.
of obstructing, and finally the body says, I've had enough, and something comes up, which
Yes.
could be whatever, heart attack, this, that, they have cancers, whatever
Right.
they want to call them. We don't believe in diseases. We
Yeah.
just understand the body sees imbalance. There's
Imbalance.
nothing else. That's all it could see.
Yes.
So let's focus on living in a balanced lifestyle, because only the body can feed, hydrate, uh, purge, build, balance itself through the soul from source. With that sentence I just said, if you understand what that means, it's very profound. The body can create anything, any amino acid, any mineral, any vitamin, any fat, through air and through what we call salt water, which is our bloodstream. With those two aspects, all creation on this planet happens. That's
Yes.
all you need in the physical matter state. But in actuality, it all comes from the fields. Everything starts through thought, intent, and emotion will manifest its physicality.
Yes.
So everything comes from the fields. But in
Yes.
this realm, we have the two aspects of the salt water and the air to create everything you see on this planet. Everything. That's all you need.
Yes.
And it's an amazing thing to have that new understanding,
Yeah.
and see things from a whole different picture of what we've been taught through the sciences and so on. But if you look at the new quantum sciences and so on and so forth, it's all expanding more and more into this new understanding and consciousness and so on and so forth.
Yes.
The field of the heart is the strongest field, and
Yes.
that's where the true intent and emotion comes from.
Yes.
Not from the mind,
No.
the physical mind.
Yes.
But there's lots of things we don't understand. But we're not telling everybody stop eating. Absolutely not. But what we're saying is, you can reduce your food consumption slowly,
Yes.
by a substantial amount within a year or two.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel better. You're going to be healthier. You're
Yes.
going to save tons of money.
Yes.
Just think, 2 days a week. How much is that at the end of the year? That's 100 days of fasting a year.
Mm-hmm.
How much does it cost to feed yourself for 100 days? Think about that. And you're going to feel better. And, if you do that 1 year, and then the next year you move to 3 days. Wow. That's 150 days of fasting a year.
Yes.
So that's the way you start looking at it. When you look at it as a lifestyle, when you look at it as an event, okay, I did 108 days, big deal. Some people disappeared for 2 years and then they came back because they're. What happens? What we think we understand what happens to these people who've done long fasts and then they kind of what we call fell off the wagon is. Once you start taking in food after a long fast, all the triggers start coming.
Yeah.
And we are trying to mimic the feeling that we get in the fasting state with foods.
Yes.
But you cannot do that. It's impossibility. So, and then we start, we're doing the raw foods because that's what we suggest people break their fast with, fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
We have a schedule of how to do it slowly. And then, it's not satisfying eating this stuff. And then they start reaching for cooked foods.
Yeah.
Because the cooked foods, energetically, they're way more powerful in higher order, but physically, they're way more obstructive.
Yes.
So that's the new understanding that we have. They're more obstructive. So but the juice doesn't have the physicality. It just has the liquid. So it only helps us clean. That's why it's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so we're reaching for these cooked foods, this and that, and then we start getting ourselves in trouble. We're trying to get these feelings of a fasting state through eating, and then it just becomes a relentless obsession, and we get ourselves in trouble.
Yes.
So that's why we swayed away from people doing long fasts, starting off, and do it as a lifestyle. You mentioned intermittent fasting. That's exactly what it is. It's intermittent fasting schedule. That what Master Fast is. It's a glorified dry fast, but it has structure and prudence within itself. So anybody from any walk of life could make it work from them, because there's infinite ways that you can make it work for yourself. Infinite.
Yeah.
You know, that's the basic structure of what the lifestyle of Master Fasting looks like.
Yes.
So for myself, you know, I like to dry fast, you know, more often, you know, 2-3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever. And then on the season changes, I may go, you know, 8, 9, 10, 12 days, 13 days, whatever.
Okay.
That's every season change. I go for a long dry fast.
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing people out there, you know, before Master Fasting was set loose to the world, there was absolutely minuscule, hardly anything information about dry fasting out there. So we opened that door up big time, and right now, you know, dry fasting is widespread. But the understanding of what dry fasting is so much misunderstood, and we see people getting themselves in trouble out there, eating heavy diets and dry fasting, and they're just putting their body through enormous stresses by doing that, because there's no prudence involved in that. I've seen some really weird things of what people are doing, but hey, I'm not here to judge, but
yes,
we have a little bit of an understanding of what happens. And the key to allow your dry fasting to shine, allow the soul to work in what we call autopilot, the key to that is a clean plasma vacuum tube.
Yes.
If this is all gunked up, you get in your dry fasting state, and all that energy is going to the gunk.
Yes.
In the dry fasting state, and it's very difficult for the body to work with this physical plaque when you're in a dry fasting state energetically. So that's why, you know, what we're doing the Master Fast, we're washing, and then we're squeezing on a dry fast, right? We're washing, we're squeezing. I found for myself, and many people agree with me, that working through the physical is the much easier way for us to connect with the spirit.
Yes.
Much easier than trying to work with the spirit through the physical. We see people going through meditation, so on and so forth, and they're eating very obstructive diets and this, that, and the other thing. But it's very, very challenging. So this way here, most people agree that it's much easier to work this way instead of working the other way. And we continue to do that.
Yes, yes. So tell me something about, you said like water is not that good. And I mean, that's something it's short, because everybody talks about drinking a lot more water.
Yeah. Sangeeta, I researched water for a long time. And I mean, a very long time, decades. I was a big advocate of water. And what I found was that after all that years and everything is, we don't need to drink water, because only the body can feed, hydrate itself, I said earlier. If you're taking in things externally, then the body stops making it. So if you're taking in food, the body stops making what it needs. For example, you take in whatever, your body stops making fat, minerals, amino acids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
If you're taking in water, the body stops hydrating itself. And hydration has nothing to do with water. Hydration has to do with, my understanding is hydrogen. It's how the body utilizes hydrogen. And what we've seen in people in Master Fast, just to give you an example, when the body starts hydrating itself, magical things happen. Just to give you an understanding, we had 2 women grow over 2 inches in height.
Wow.
Along MFS. And that can only happen through true hydration. Once you de-obstructive and allow the body to work with fields versus matter. That's the magic that starts happening. Spine starts straightening out. Paralyzed people start walking. this is the magic we start seeing when the body truly starts to hydrate itself.
So how do you get hydrogen then?
Clean out the plasma vacuum tube.
Clean up. Okay. So it's
Yeah,
it's there in the cosmos. It's there in the environment.
it happens automatically. It's the program is there. We have to train ourselves to remember how to allow the body to remember how to do that again, because it's so obstructed physically. It doesn't know how to do it because we're continuously feeding it. So we have to work with that. So little by little, we like an athlete, chip away, working out a little bit every day. They
Yes.
get better and better and better. Eventually, they can run marathons or whatever. So that's the same principle of fasting. People want everything today,
Yes.
right?
Instant.
Well, you know,
Instant.
to master anything takes decades.
Yes.
So that's a lifestyle. You
Yes.
choose a lifestyle or you don't. The choice is always yours, always in your hands.
Yes.
And you know, we support people who choose this type of lifestyle. It's that simple.
Yes. And to get your guidance and to be able to connect with you, you have a Facebook page, a closed
Yeah,
group.
we use the Facebook page, Master Fast System, where we it's a private page where we support people on the journey.
Yes.
We have live Zoom calls every Saturday night. We call it Saturday Night Live Zoom, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we support people there. And I do a Wednesday Facebook Live at 3:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's our support system. And if somebody wants a private consultation, we also have that available.
Okay.
That's our support system. And we encourage everybody to share live on the Facebook page. Some people don't like Facebook. It doesn't matter. Facebook, we thank them for giving us that platform. Works well for that. And that's all it is. It's private. So, you know, people only within the group can see the feed from the Master Fast system. You know, we encourage people to share their journey, make a post, start sharing their journey, you know, make posts once a day or once a week or whatever, and continue to add to it. And then you could go back in 6 months or a year and you can read your journey and other people can read your journey. It's amazing and beautiful to see that. And if you just go in the Master Fast System group and you use the search there, it's like a Master Fast wiki. We've had most questions asked.
Yes.
So just use the search and then you can watch all the Zoom. I suggest starting watching the interviews with people so you can listen to other people's experiences of what they gone through master fasting. And that's the way you start off. You have to start educating yourself. We don't spoon feed people. It doesn't work, spoon feeding.
No.
We must take full responsibility, 100%.
Absolutely.
To make the choice to move into a peace, balance, correct conduct lifestyle.
Yes.
And Master Fasting System is a roadmap to guide you to help clear out the plasma vacuum tube on all levels, on physical, mental, emotional levels.
Yes.
And it works.
Yes.
And it works magic. If you watch the interviews, you'll hear all kinds of amazing stories from people. And like I said, the search option, you see many more. There's many people just don't want to share for whatever reason. I get messages from people say, I don't want to post in the group. Okay. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that love the master fasting lifestyle.
Yes.
And there's a few of them that have nothing better to do but to bash us because they just don't have the understanding and the intelligence to understand the simplicity of what master fasting is.
Right.
Most people are thinking in terms of addition. You need this, this, and that because you're missing.
Yes.
You're deficient. And we actually work with what we call the art of subtraction.
Yes.
Through the art of subtraction, you have access to everything.
Yes. Yes.
You don't need to add anything.
No.
And that is very, very, very difficult and challenging for us to comprehend. It took me a long time because I was a big advocate of being nutritional deficiency and in minerals and you need best water. I was a huge advocate in all that stuff for many, many, many years. And where did it get me? To find it was all something that spiraled me out to more confusion.
Yes.
It took me away from what the truth that I believe is that we have everything that we need within. You
Yes.
don't need to go anywhere.
Yes.
That's the key. Spiral inwards, dive into the abyss of your soul, and watch the magic unfold. And
Yes.
it does every time. It's
Yes.
never failed.
Never
People
fail.
will fail themselves if they don't do it. That's it. But the
Yes.
system works, and it
Yes.
works every time.
Yes.
Um,
I totally agree. It's a lot of it resonates with me, and it's really beautiful once you realize less is more, and
less
once
is
you
more.
realize how we are not as human beings, we are not consuming beings, but that's not what we come here for. You said it so beautifully. It's about giving. It's about we come here actually to give.
Exactly. What has humanity been doing? Taking, taking, taking. We are here to serve, not to be served. We are here to serve the
Yes.
planet. We are here to serve the animals and Mother Nature and everything else and the
Yes.
people. So we've been doing the opposite, and this is what we have as the outcome. So it's time for that big shift for
Yes.
everybody to awaken and jump out of that old paradigm and
Yes.
start, jumping for joy in the new understanding, and
Uh-huh.
and connect with these wonderful energies,
Yes.
and learn about the art of subtraction,
Yes.
and how profound it can be to change your life and your families and friends and your loved ones.
Yes.
And is it easy? Absolutely not.
No.
No, if it easy, everybody would be doing it. But
Yes.
the you know, keep it simple.
Yes, keep it simple. Thank you so much, Gino. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. It was wonderful talking to you. And I hope we can inspire a few others to at least start the first process and
Yeah, yeah,
at least get this concept of less is more.
yeah,
Not the addition, but subtraction is what really gets you into
yeah,
this liberation and freedom of who we are, right? So thank you
exactly.
so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you
And,
for allowing me to share, and everybody's welcome.
okay.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta.
Thank you.
Have a great